Hello, everyone, and welcome. You are listening to From the Ashtray, where forgotten history, hard truths, and the voices buried under the headlines rise from the smoke. No filters, no spin, just the story beneath the story. I'm Calix Rivers. I will be your host, and today we are going to talk about the 2003 invasion of Iraq through the eyes of the Iraqis. This is going to be a good one, so let's get into it, shall we? So let's rewind before we do. Before the bombs dropped in Baghdad, and before George W. Bush said Saddam Hussein had to go and had all these WMDs, right? Iraq was already kind of crippled and on its knees, not from war, but more from isolation. Things like sanctions, being slowly bled out in front of the world, and no one really cared enough to pay attention, right? I mean, from the end of the Gulf War in 1991 to the start of the U.S.-led invasion in 2003, Iraq was stuck in this kind of limbo, a place between a dictator's iron grip and the crushing weight of international punishment, to say the least. I mean, the regime was brutal, yeah. Saddam Hussein ruled with fear, but the sanctions imposed by the UN after Iraq's invasion of Kuwait, they hit the people the hardest. And we don't talk about that a lot. All right. I mean, imagine a country that once had free healthcare, strong universities, and a growing middle class suddenly reduced to hospitals with no antibiotics, children dying of diarrhea and malnutrition, engineers and professors selling cigarettes on the street just to eat. Right? I mean, this shit was crazy. It was nuts how backwards they went. I mean, and that was Iraq in the 90s. Right? I mean, the UN estimates, the UN estimates reported that more than 500,000 Iraqi children died as a result of the sanctions. When Madeleine Albright was questioned about this figure in 1996 on an interview, it was infamously said, "We think the price is worth it." Think about that. We think the price is worth it. Like, how much of a sick motherfucker do you need to be to where you think that 500,000 children dying from diarrhea and malnutrition is worth it? I mean, that one statement summed up how expendable the Iraqi people's lives have become in the eyes of the Western powers. I mean, the Oil for Good program was supposed to prevent this suffering, and it was clear it didn't, right? I mean, supplies were slow to arrive, corruption was rampant, both inside Iraq and within the international bodies overseeing the program. Saddam's regime used it to reward loyalists, and Western corporations just skimmed off the top. Right? The CIA thought this economic pressure would cause the people to rise against Saddam. They were wrong. I mean, the Iraqis, they didn't rise up. They were silent, afraid, and starving. Here's what one Iraqi school teacher told the BBC journalist in 2002. "I don't care about Saddam. I don't care about Bush. I just want milk for my son. If America bombs us, maybe it will be fast. This is a slow death." End quote. This was Iraq's emotional temperature in the early 2000s. Like, not anger, no hope, just fatigue, dread, and just a desire for it all to just be over. Yet still, the West kept pushing the idea that libertarian was needed. But liberation by who, and for what? And then time goes on, right? And then there was the whole shock and awe about it, right? March 20th in 2003. Baghdad goes dark. Streetlights cut out. And the radios play the Quran recitations. Parents gather their children in basements and inner rooms. And it begins. Shock and awe. The phrase that came from the U.S. military planners describing a strategy of overwhelming force designed to psychologically paralyze the enemy. And in reality, it was just a sustained bombardment. Airstrikes and cruise missiles raining down for just hours on end. One Iraqi journalist wrote, quote, "The sky opened and it screamed," end quote. Baghdad was not just a battlefield. It was a city of 5 million fucking people. People who had nothing to do with Saddam's military. Nothing to do with WMDs. But when the bombs fell, they didn't discriminate. They didn't care. The strikes weren't just aimed at military targets. I mean, they hit infrastructure, telecom towers, electricity stations, bridges. Entire neighborhoods got flattened if there was even a suspicion of a command post nearby. Like, that's pretty fucked up, right? I mean, families huddled under blankets. Some taped windows in hopes of surviving the blast waves. Others just waited and prayed. One man said later, quote, "I told my wife, if this is the end, we will die together. I held my children close and waited for God," end quote. And in just 48 hours, over 1,700 airstrikes, more than 3,000 fucking bombs were dropped. For most Iraqis, this was not liberation. This was Armageddon. Just plain old Armageddon. Like, I mean, what else were they supposed to think? I mean, the U.S., we like to think we're the good guys. We think we're doing this, that, and the other. But I think at this point, all these years later, we can all kind of see that we really had no agenda in Iraq other than regime change and, maybe a little bit of, a grudge. Baby Bush went in there to finish what Daddy Bush started. Think about it. It's a little peculiar. And then on April 9th, 2003, U.S. Marines roll into Firdos Square in Baghdad. Cameras fill a giant statue of Saddam being pulled down. CNN, Fox News, they both replay the footage every 30 minutes, celebrating it as the ball of tyranny. But what the footage doesn't show is just how staged the whole damn thing was. The square was cleared by troops. The crowd was small, mostly journalists and a handful of Iraqi citizens. It wasn't the spontaneous, people-led toppling the media claimed. And while the statue fell, so did Iraq's institutions. Now, don't quote me on any of this pronunciation. The Ba'ath Party was disbanded. Entire ministries were abandoned. Government workers, soldiers, teachers, all sent home overnight. And suddenly, millions of people were out of work. Police stations were looted. Hospitals stripped of vital equipment and, medicines, antibiotics, all that good stuff. Priceless artifacts were stolen from the National Museum. One Iraqi engineer said, quote, "We had no government, no electricity, no police, no medicine, just guns and fire," end quote. This wasn't a transition. It was a collapse. Clear cut to the point. Like there was no transition here. We sent our boys in under false pretense of weapons of mass destruction. We went in, our boys did what they do best. They fuck shit up and just, okay, now what? Right? Well, by summer of 2003, resistance was already rising pretty fast, right? I mean, what began as scattered ambushes soon grew into an organized insurgency. And it wasn't just former, again, don't quote me on these pronunciations, Ba'athists or jihadis. It was everyday Iraqis, students, farmers, former soldiers who saw the occupation as an effort to, or excuse me, not as an effort, as an affront to their dignity and sovereignty. And the U.S. responded in kind with raids, arrests, and checkpoints. But their tactics alienated even more civilians, raiding homes at night, detaining suspects without any sufficient evidence, and firing on crowds out of fear. I mean, and then came, Abu Ghraib. I mean, photos surfaced in 2004 showing naked Iraqi prisoners stacked in pyramids, beaten, mocked, humiliated by smiling U.S. troops. The damage to America's reputation, like when those came out, was catastrophic. I mean, even to this day, we still get shit for it. But for the Iraqis, like it was getting real personal real quick, and proof that the occupiers weren't liberators. They were just jailers and abusers of power. As sectarian violence escalated, foreign fighters poured in. Al-Qaeda in Iraq, led by Abu Musab al-Zakwawi, turned the insurgency into something far more brutal, targeting Shia civilians to provoke civil war. I mean, death squads were formed. Mass graves returned. I mean, a country already broken now bled from every street corner, every family, just anywhere you can possibly think of. I mean, the suffering these poor people went through because we went in there on, our higher moral compass, thinking that, we're going in there to find WMDs and we're going to fuck shit up while we're doing it. Just some of the stuff we did in there, it was entirely inhumane. And we had no business in the country in the first fucking place. I mean, and then you got to think of the long-term fallout, right? And then what they think today. I mean, by 2011, yeah, the U.S. did withdraw its combat troops, but Iraq was shattered. It wasn't even salvageable, I guess you could say, dare I say, in the moment. I mean, over 100,000 confirmed civilian deaths, with some estimates, going as far as 600,000, and more than 5 million displaced. Entire cities like Fallujah were reduced to fucking rubble. I mean, and we can get into the whole Fallujah thing. Like, that was a wreck in itself. I mean, but just thinking about it, right? And from all the chaos that we caused when we went in there, I mean, we created ISIS, because that's when ISIS emerged. They didn't come, from nowhere. They came from the ashes of, the Ba'athification of ignored Sunni grievances, of prison camps like Buqa, where radicals were recruited openly. I mean, the U.S., yeah, we can claim victory, but the people left behind didn't see it as any triumph. I mean, if anything, we just caused them more grief and more suffering. And if you ask the average Iraqi today what the war gave them, they won't say freedom. They'll say trauma, broken families, orphan children, corrupt politicians, foreign meddling from Iran, Turkey, the U.S. itself, and many, many, many others. But there's some hope because a new generation is rising. One not tied to the sect or tribe, one that protests in the streets of Baghdad and Basra chanting, "We want a homeland." You know, I mean, you know, maybe that cry, you know, just maybe that cry, you know, born from the ashes of war, will be the beginning of something new and something real. Because, I mean, if Iraq has taught the world anything, it's that no country, no people should ever be reduced to a footnote in someone else's war. I mean, we have to learn from this. Like, we destroyed these people, we decimated these people, and we don't even think twice about it. I mean, you know, how often has the conversation come up since we left? Right? I mean, we need to learn from the sins of our past if we want to do better in our future. Okay? We may be a superpower, but we are not these, you know, immoral dictators, takers of life, to just go in, fuck shit up, take a bunch of lives, and leave at will. We're always that country that strikes back, not first. Okay, I mean, we have a moral standing that we need to get back to. Like I said, if we don't learn from our own mistakes, then what's the point? Anyway, it's enough of my rambling. If you listen to this on Spotify, thank you. Leave a review, comment, you know, subscribe. It always helps. If you're over there on YouTube, please like, comment, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and we will see you guys later in the next one. This is Calyx Rivers, and thank you for joining me on From the Ashtray.